So, Grace Randolph has now claimed that Zachary Levi's SHAZAM contract is not being renewed, so he's done, and also throws some shade at him. A bit unwarranted, basically, but yeah, hardly surprising from the lovely Grace Randolph. Let's dive into this today, ladies and gents. This is interesting. She has been right in the past. Of course she has. She's also been wrong. But this is interesting nonetheless. Please do hit subscribe if you're new here. Would love to have you around more often. We've got about 50% of you guys that watch this channel that are not subscribed. So, Zachary Levi is making the headlines mainly because he did an anti-Pfizer tweet. Loads of people have equated that to anti-vax. Doesn't matter even if he is anti-vax, or at least anti this particular vax. Who gives a shit? It doesn't really matter. But obviously loads of people are up in arms about it, crying, wetting their nappies. Because that's the Western world for you. Zachary Levi is said to be done as SHAZAM following the cryptic anti-Pfizer tweet that got him in hot water over the weekend, though they might not be the ultimate reason he is leaving. So, Grace Randolph touched on the subject of Zachary Levi and claimed the issue is actually contract related. So basically, the same situation as Henry Cavill, allegedly. Which is interesting, I guess, because James Gunn did say, SHAZAM's always been off in his own part of the DC world, doing his own thing, the big cheese. So that's interesting that is now seemingly not what is happening. But hey, let's see what she had to say about it. And again, she was right about Henry Cavill, so she might be right about this. Under the new DC studio regime of James Gunn and Peter Safran, there are a lot of turnovers, and Randolph says they simply aren't renewing. What's going on? I mean, that is firing, for God's sake. What's going on with Zachary Levi? Zachary Levi is this is the weird shade part. Zachary Levi is a very religious individual. I saw somebody tweet, Zachary Levi is what you accuse Chris Pratt of being, she said in her latest vlog. And I don't know if everyone is wrong about Chris Pratt, but it seems as if Zachary Levi is cut from the same cloth as Chris Pratt, down to being even a bit of an evangelist. Oh, God. Get my bloody words out today. Anyway, and so this is weird shade. Who cares if he's religious? He's just not hurting anyone. And then she's like, oh, but he's not DC's problem anymore. I don't think he was anyone's problem. What? How's he a problem? At least not for a very long time, as I heard that SHAZAM is done. Alright, so why? Well, Randolph adds that this situation will be handled similarly to the way Henry Cavill's position was, without using the word fired, which is interesting. And the reason why I say this is interesting and why she could be wrong is because Peter Safran is actually the lead. Peter Safran, the other CEO of DC Studios that isn't often talked about, and even she doesn't reference this, which I think is a bit dumb. Peter Safran is the lead producer on SHAZAM. He makes money from this. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But apparently they won't use the word fired. Again, James Gunn will not have to say he fired anybody. He's just not going to continue with the contracts. There's no contract for more movies, so he's just not going to renew it, she claimed. Now, Randolph kind of predicted Cavill would be gone from Superman despite his scene in Black Adam, and she was sadly proven accurate. So, yeah, Gunn, full steam ahead on his reboot of DC on film, which includes a clean slate. For Superman as part of the agenda, no one has been cast yet, however, despite rumours, according to Gunn. Now, again, I don't know how much I believe of this. Mainly because Peter Safran is one of the lead producers on SHAZAM. And he's also now co-CEO. And also James Gunn did sit there and say, hey, we've got SHAZAM is off in his own world. He's doing his own thing. So I always envisaged him as his own. He's separate to the DCEU. And this, you got to remember, she posted this before the DC slate reveal. Right? Before the DC slate reveal, she posted this. So that's important to note. So she hadn't actually heard the wording that James Gunn had said. Again, she might be right, just as an FYI. She genuinely might be right. But then I also just did a video discussing what James Gunn had said most recently about The Flash and saying, well, it resets some things, but not everything. Some characters remain the same. Up until Superman. Superman is where things can change, is what James Gunn said. So this is interesting. It's interesting. Now, this is obviously the tweet that Zachary Levi has apparently got himself in trouble for. Who cares? This is like a nothing burger, but loads of people are obviously crying about it. Wetting their nappies. They've got sands in their vaginas. We'll call them Sandy. Everyone defending Pfizer. Goodness me. They have 2.3 billion they were fined. This is the biggest marketing fraud fine in history. Just remember that when you defend them, all right? They're not someone to defend. But anyway, obviously, and he literally says, well, this is one thing I'm referring to. But everyone obviously jumped on the fact and was like, oh, he's anti-vax, blah, 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 all this like crap. He never said anything about it. And who cares even if he is? Literally, who gives a shit? Okay, it doesn't affect you. You can go, get that sand at your vagina or elsewhere. You're fine. So, we'll have to see how this pans out. I think the real take-home from this is that, one, Grace Randolph did make this prediction prior to the statements of the slate. So that works in the favour of, well, she didn't actually have all the information, but hey, who knows? We'll see. And also Peter Safran, which he doesn't mention, which is an important factor. Peter Safran is a heavy hitter producer on Shazam. And as a result of that, I mean, obviously he's still getting a paycheck elsewhere now, but I mean, it's something which he obviously believes in and obviously enjoys and obviously likes, and obviously he likes working with Zachary Levi. So saying that Zachary Levi is someone else's problem now is wholly inaccurate, because obviously Peter Safran, CEO of DC Studios, clearly likes him enough to work with him. Clearly. So he's not exactly someone else's problem. I think that's a very inaccurate and disingenuous way to frame stuff. But I expect nothing less from Grace Randolph. Again, someone saying that Chris Pratt is they're cut from the same cloth, as if that's bad. Really? Come on now. Cry me a river elsewhere. But let me know what you guys think down below. I'd love to hear any and all of your thoughts. Please do hit subscribe, give the video a like, and do share it. We'll see how this plays out. Cheers, guys. Take care.